Hello everyone, my name is Wemimo and today is all about early signs of autism. Today we'll be looking at signs of autism my son Shaheem showed up to the age of 4 years old and still has some of these traits, if not most. If your child consistently and frequently displays any of these behaviours, it is advisable to speak to a professional doctor or help visitor. I cannot stress enough how much early intervention has helped Shaheem. So let's get on with it. Shaheem could accommodate other children around him, but didn't play with them. He preferred the company of adults to children because they understood his needs. He tends to focus on the toys rather than a person or a child. He hardly responded to his name, hardly gave eye contact. No blabbing until 18 months. He would point or push me on or an adult towards what he wanted. He would talk a lot of jargons. He would often physically get what he wants rather than try to use communication. Shaheem would bite himself and others when he was upset. Shaheem would echo words that he has heard. You will hurt yourself if you keep doing that. Listen.
Listen.
Listen. I'm not playing with you. The first word, or would I say sentence, was come on water. Okay, let's go. If it was to go out, we say come on water. Okay, let's go. If he wanted to sleep, he would say come on water. Okay, let's go. So whatever he wanted, he would say come on water. Okay, let's go. Shane had no stranger awareness or understood personal space. He would go too closely to a stranger like this. So like, let's say this is a stranger, he would go like this to their face. He would come back and smile like he's having a conversation. Shane had difficulties with moderating his emotions. No. One. And he cried frequently. It was difficult to distract him and calm him down when he got upset. He would laugh when we expressed our anger. So if he did something now and I was like, Shaheem, that's really bad, don't do that anymore, he would just he would smile. When he saw other children cry, Shaheem would copy. He would copy and would throw himself on the floor, make a huge scene in public or at nursery. Shane had difficulties with shared and joint attention. He had difficulties with shifting his attention from an adult and an object. Shane had significant difficulties attending to an activity not of his choosing. It was difficult to engage Shaheem in an adult-directed activity if it was not of his interest. It was difficult to establish how much he understood, as he often chose not to respond. He would become distressed if he couldn't do what he wanted. He had difficulties with social understanding. He did not understand an adult or child intention. He relied on routines to support his needs. So around the time he had his assessment, we moved from our old house to this house that we are presently in, and it took Shaheem almost 3 months to settle. He would get really upset with his room, with the kitchen, because he was very independent in the other house and he didn't need to communicate. So he would get so frustrated. He used to get extremely frustrated in this house. He got frustrated with routines because then the routine of him going to school became different from the routine when he moved to this house. His play was repetitive and isolated. He would hold another child and take them away if he was distracted or the child was playing with a toy or something that he wants to play with or he wanted to play with. He mostly did not demonstrate any imaginary play, but when he was about when he was around 3, he would react Tom and Jerry because he was obsessed with Tom and Jerry. So that was the only time that I witnessed Shaheem demonstrate any imaginary play. Obsessions. Shaheem liked cars, and with time he became very specific with the types of cars he would play with. He would play with them. I'll show you a demonstration of how he played with them. He would play with them, closing his eye and just going up and down with the car. And he became a car collector. He would buy like the most expensive tiny cars and he would line them up. Some kids with autism are known to color coordinate, but Shaheem was more of just lining the cars up and just playing with one, and just like to just put them in a particular place and you dare not move those cars or he's gonna get upset. McDonald's, phones and iPad. Shaheem was obsessed with phones and iPad, and also games. He liked playing Sonic the Hedgehog. I think it was more of, obviously every child would have their own, something that they like, but it's just the obsession, the concentration it would put on playing the games. He was obsessed with PC Windows, the sign, and he would just watch that on YouTube. At some point he would watch that on YouTube. If he finds a specific scene funny, Shane would rewind that same scene for hours and watch that. So watch it, rewind, and you can do that for hours. We had to stop him because it became freaky at some point. So Shane had no danger awareness. Shaheem would try and run in front of a moving car, and when I show my anger or frustration, Shaheem would laugh or smile. Shaheem would want to ride his bike on the main road, and would get upset if I asked him or if I moved him to the pavement. He would get really upset. Shaheem was drawn to water, so if we're at the seaside, Shaheem would want to swim, and when I tried to explain to him, it's dangerous, he would throw himself on the floor like he didn't understand. He was more drawn to the water rather than understanding safety first. Shaheem stims a lot, he still does. Shaheem stim dance. Shaheem would rock back and forth. Shaheem used to jump for no apparent reason. He still does it. When he was younger, when he was 2 years old, he used to bang his head on the cushion, and he used to make funny sounds. Hello. Say hello. He used to chew his top. It would twist the top so bad that the neckline would expand. Shaheem would smile or laugh for no apparent reason. Shaheem would bite his hand. Again, when he's frustrated, he would bite others too when he was frustrated. Shaheem would pour water from one cup to the other, and I'll show you a demonstration with so much concentration. And Shaheem would drag his feet a lot, so he used to drag. Some kids are known to tiptoe, but Shaheem's one was more dragging his feet when he was outdoors. Shaheem would stay at the microwave and just watch the timer go off, because he was obsessed with numbers, so he would just stay there and just watch it count down. So Shaheem used to flick his ears, and I remember him doing that from the age of 18 months, no? From the age of, I would say 16 months, he used to flick his ear a lot, like this. And I think that was what made me think he had the hearing problem, because he used to do that a lot. And sometimes I'll see him, he will be teary, like he's upset. Shane did not like having his hair cut. He would get upset with the sound of the clipper. Shaheem did not like the sound of motorbikes, and he would put his hand like this. until the sound stopped. He had problems with filtering noise, and he would pay attention to the littlest noise. He couldn't cope well with crowds. And I remember my sister's wedding in Nigeria. He was overwhelmed with the people and this music, and he got really upset, and I had to take him away from the environment, and he was in my cousin's car for a while just to calm him down, because it was just too much for him. It was overwhelming for Shaheem. Some kids with autism don't like texture of clothing. Shaheem did not really struggle with this, but I remember Shaheem did not like tight clothes on him. Some kids with autism are known not to like tags on their clothes. Shaheem had difficulties with with food touching each other. So for example, if he was to have beans and chips, he would rather have them separately and eat them. He would rather eat them separately. But if he had like the beans touching the chips, he would get upset. And he had the preference. But for me, I always felt that it was more of a preference thing for Shaheem, because we used to serve him a lot of African food. When Shaheem was 3, Shaheem started having difficulties with sleep. They recommended for him to be on medication, and I wasn't comfortable with that. So his key worker advised me to get blackout blinds in his room and some sensory lights for him. So that kind of helped him a lot with sleep. So it was really disturbing then. I think that was one of the toughest things for me to watch. My child not sleep. So some children with autism do find it difficult to sleep. So that's all for now. That's all I can think about. If I remember anything, I'll leave in the comment section below. And I really hope this video is helpful. And that'll be it now. And thank you for watching. Thank you so much, and see you guys next week.